Hello, guys and dolls. Welcome back to the show, Conversations with Leah. I'm your host, Leah Lorraine, and today is Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. Now, today's episode, I reviewed the movie that was chosen as the poll I did a few weeks ago, which was My Baby's Daddy. Now, My Baby's Daddy, for those who rhetoric, is a 2004 comedy movie directed by Cheryl Doon, who also directed The Watermelon Woman. This movie focuses on three men who have been friends since childhood who get a wake-up call when all three of their love interests are simultaneously pregnant, and their transition from bachelorhood to fatherhood. Now, this movie has an all-star cast members such as Eddie Griffin, Anderson, Michael Imperioli, Method Man, Bai Ling, Paula J. Parker. I can go on. Now, I watched this movie as a child, and a few years ago when I rented it from Family Video. Remember Family Video? And the last time I watched it was a few years ago on Max. Though I no longer have Max. But then again, what's the point of even having Max? Because in fact, they always remove their stuff all the time. But back to the story. I'm going to review this movie, then give my final thoughts, and I'll conclude this episode with a poem I wrote that's pretty much a very important poem, so stay tuned. But anyways, let's get to the movie. Now, the movie begins with narration, which if you watched any black movies from the 90s, you should realize there's narration. In an animated opening, which shows the backstory of the three titular friends, G, Lonnie, and Dominic. The three friends, they were friends since they were babies, and it shows their misadventures. With Lonnie wanting to be involved with Rolanda, but who was only with him for his money, which is foreshadowing of their relationship. In their misadventures with G's cousin No Good, who robs from the local Asian store, which is ran by I forgot the name of the character. I'm just gonna call her Jackie, and his daughter Shishi, who's laughing at them. Then when they're adults, they move in with Lonnie's Uncle Virgil, played by the late John Amos, rest in peace, John Amos. And they all have their various interests. G wants to become a boxer, like the movie Rocky. Lonnie wants to become a scientist/inventor, and Dominic is in the music industry and pretty much wants to be successful as a music manager. And then when we transition to live action, we have Lonnie's birthday party, which we're introduced to Shishi as an adult being dropped off by her father, Jackie. And once her father drives away, she takes off her coat to reveal a more revealing outfit and surprises G. During the party, Lonnie is anxious regarding whether or not Rolanda will show up, and lo and behold, Rolanda shows up wearing interesting outfit with her cousin Big Swole. And during her introduction, she pretty much licks the icing off Lonnie's birthday cake seductively. Then Dia, a friend from Dominic's workplace, which I'm just gonna call their relationship a situationship because in fact they didn't specify what type of relationship I had, but Dia, Dominic's love interest, shows up at a party. Then we cut to Lonnie and Rolanda preparing to make soup, and Lonnie is expressing his love for Rolanda. Rolanda's too busy reading a magazine, which also has a advertisement for strip aerobics, which is Chekhov shadowing, and is too distracted to watch her ghetto TV show, which is pretty much a ghetto version of 90210. And a few scenes later, the guys, they all receive the news that their significant others is pregnant. Lonnie, who is coaching a basketball team among many other jobs he has to support himself, gets a visit from Rolanda and her equally guttersnipe mother, who tells him that through a storyline where Karis might be sure that he's pregnant. Then G, who normally works at Shichi's family store, and they all treat him like crap because of the past, gets told of the news by Shichi while he's boxing, gets knocked out, while Nia tells Dominic off screen. Then all three of them, they're the three couples, they're attending those baby preparation classes headed by a woman named Annabelle, played by Amy Sedaris. And while Lonnie and G are with their progressive others, the only one who's not there is Dominic, since Nia is accompanied by her midwife, who I forgot her name, we'll call her Karina. And he pretty much shows up late, and then we get to the delivery scenes. Rolanda has her delivery at the hospital, which is all set to push it. Nia has her delivery at home as per her request, and Shishi gives birth at the family store. And in a successive order, Lonnie has a boy named Carver, named after George Washington Carver. G has another boy named Bruce Leroy, and for years I thought Bruce Leroy was just a fictitious name. I didn't even know that Bruce Leroy was named after was the name of the character from The Last Dragon, which I didn't watch till 2016. Remember the movie The Last Dragon? And Dominic has a daughter named Jasmine. Then it cuts through 3 months later, or 3 weeks later, I forgot. And we have the men still adjusted to fatherhood, with Bonnie bumping into little Tupac, played by Bobby Thompson. Remember Bobby Thompson, anyone? Who's Rolanda's son from a previous relationship. And when he returns home, he has a conversation with Romana, who's pretty much who leaves him with the baby while she goes out partying, while trying to convince her to attend the mommy and me classes, which she doesn't want to go because her mom didn't take her Lord Little Tomato's cat those classes, and pretty much leaves the parenting all to Lonnie. Then Bia, who has a job as a curator, leaves Dominic with Jasmine while she goes to work. And Shishi, who also has a lot of work, leaves her son with Bruce Leroy with G. And pretty much the three men, they all babysit their babies together and have a hard time controlling the baby's crying. With one of the times being feeding some milk, though there's a little snafu between G and Dominic when G mistakenly fed Bruce Leroy Nia's breast milk. Meanwhile, in permanent, the nerd, sorry, I messed up my words. Lonnie winds up going to the Bobby Me classes in place of Rolanda, where he meets Brandy, which is the replacement love interest that he winds up falling for. Then meanwhile, with Dominic is managing a rap group who I'm calling, since I forgot their names, the fictional rap group whom I'm calling Chad and Ken. And they're your typical 2000s Wigga characters, essentially. And during a performance at a nightclub, which is attended by Debo, I know the name of his character, but I'm just going to call him Debo. They notice Rolanda as one of the dancers and asks that she was supposed to be at the dinner that Lonnie prepared for them, and it cuts to Lonnie waiting for Rolanda while Uncle Virgil eats the dinner. And pretty much after Chad and Ken perform, they catch the attention of Debo, who's willing to sign the group to his record label. Then the next day, we're shown Lonnie, G, and Dominic are chatting together, and pretty much they don't tell them that they saw Rolanda in the club, which is like a bad thing because he's your friend. When you see someone dating your friend step out on them, you're supposed to tell them, in my opinion. But they decided to help him win over Brandy, and pretty much they have remodeled him as a Mac, which winds up backfiring when he accidentally splashed a drink all over Brandy during the day, and Brandy keeps his distance from him. Then No Good winds up popping back into G's life after getting out of prison. And G pretty much tries to set No Good straight, telling him that, making it clear that he's not going to be involved in this foolishness due to him having a child with Shishi and not trying to be on even bad terms with her family. Which leads to the hilarious dinner scene where No Good tries to introduce himself to the family only for him to mess up the family's names because, get it, they have stereotypical Asian names. Referring to Shishi as Sexy Pig, Grandma as Grandma Kung Fu, and Fu Young, among other crazy names. Then with Dominic winds up getting them signed to Devo's record label looking cookies, and a hilarious scene where after signing their record deal, they have to eat milk and cookies in front of Devo. But things wind up coming to a head while throwing a party for No Good being out of jail, they pretty much forgot their responsibility to their babies and wound up losing them, which led to them becoming even more responsible parents. But what goes up winds up going down. Since their lives wind up falling apart, in the relationships with their baby's mothers winds up falling apart. First, with Dominic. Dominic finds out that Nia is in a relationship with Karina, the midwife chick. If Nia feels that he's too responsible to be a father, pretty much saying so many words that Karina is pretty much a better parent than to Jasmine and them. Then when G goes shopping with No Good, and No Good winds up robbing the store when G goes to get his wallet, and also get introduced to organic food, and when she finds out about it, thanks to No Good bragging about it to the Bruce Leroy, she karate kicks G and dumps him. And then with Lonnie tries to make things up with Brandy, but Brandy still rejects him. And I should note that Lonnie's character storyline is pretty much fleshed out in the deleted scenes, which I forgot how the deleted scenes go, but so many words, a lot of it had to do with Rolanda and her responsibilities and her pretty much treating them like crap. The guys, they're at their lowest when Uncle Virgil decides to give them a sharp pep talk. It refers to G as Rerun during said pep talk, pretty much telling them to man up, pretty much get involved in the lives of their babies and fix things, essentially. And then during his pep talk, he refers to G as Rerun. For those who ask who Rerun is a character from a 70s black sitcom called What's Happening, portrayed by Fred Rerun Berry, a well-known well-known dancer and actor who passed away in early 2000s. May he rest in peace as well. In its social order, the men, they wind up fixing their respective problems. Oh, and not to mention the Chad and Ken, Dominic's music duo, they pretty much kick him to the curb in favor of Debo, by the way. I forgot to mention that. But Dominic, he goes to Nia's place of work and interrupted while she was working and pretty much give her a speech of how he wants to be in his daughter's life and how he wants to be a responsible man. Then G has a heart-to-heart conversation with Jackie, who revealed that he was in the triads, and what made him pretty much stray away from the gang life was when he found out he was expecting Shishi. And he makes things up with Shishi by proposing her. And then Lonnie, not only does Lonnie make things up with Brandy and pretty much gets a second chance with her, but he decides to grow grow a pair and stand up to Rolanda, taking Carver with him, what causes Rolanda's mom to call Swole against Rolanda's protest. And when Swole confronts Lonnie, Lonnie knocks the F out of him and walks away, which causes Rolanda's mom to limit how much Rolanda fumbled the bag, essentially. And our story ends with a epilogue. Pretty much, Lonnie became a successful inventor, married Randy, and they're expecting a child together. Shishi and G have also gotten married, with G teaming up with his father-in-law Jackie to set up a kung fu boxing dojo. And Dominic set up his own record label where the first artist is Lil Tupac, which hope that's not a conflict of interest. And it ends with the three men celebrating their success, their transition from bachelorhood to fatherhood. And that's the end of My Baby's Daddy. And here are my final thoughts. My final thoughts about this movie is it's really a very serious, it's like as comic as a movie is, it's a very serious movie. It is kind of profound movie about the bachelorhood to fatherhood pipeline, especially with these three men who have been friends since childhood, and their wake up call to reality when they knock up their girlfriends, and them adjusting to fatherhood on their individual issues. Now, the one thing that will probably irk some viewers is pretty much how Rolanda is portrayed, since Rolanda is portrayed as pretty much a typical gutter snipe who didn't care, who was not in love with Lonnie and only loved Lonnie for pretty much financial support, essentially. Not to mention how she pretty much left all the parenting of Carver to Lonnie while she was too busy pursuing a stripper career, being a gutter snipe, and I'm not sure if she was even a proper mother to Lil Tupac as well. But at least but at least Lonnie was able to see the fruits of his labor from working multiple jobs, such as a garbage collector and a basketball coach, to becoming a successful inventor. Now, another thing also found profound was the relationship between Mia and her midwife Karina, and them raising Jasmine together, which was very progressive by even in the early 2000s. Seeing that there are same-sex couples that raise children and all. Otherwise, it's a great comedy movie. Although it's dated in the 2000s, it's still a great comedy movie. And I would give it 100 stars. And I would recommend watching this movie. Well, guys, that was the end of my review. And now let me read my poem. And it's a poem. And this poem, I wrote it in response to a certain idiot who has been babbling misinformation about autism. And anyone knows me knows I'm not that political person. But his comments literally angered me. Because for one, autism is not a disease that can be eradicated. It's a developmental disorder that's hereditary. Since a good example of this would be me, since me and my younger brother are also autistic / on the spectrum. And number two, his comments are full of misinformation, which isn't surprising coming from a loony conspiracy theorist. So if you disagree with my views, don't even bother listening or watching my show. But that's enough because I'm already going to get angry. But my poem is called I Am Autistic and Proud, and I hope those who listen to my poem can relate to it. I'm worried about my safety and my future, about the well-being of human nature, about how strangers perceive me. I am not a burden. I am not a disease. I am not someone to be cured of. I am not a hindrance and tragedy to my family. I am intelligent and kind-hearted. I have a supportive, loving family. I have a talented and creative mind. I am autistic and proud, but I am worried about my safety and future, about the well-being of my fellow neurodivergents, and the strangers that would view me with prejudice. I will look forward to hope for a loving world where ableism and prejudice is replaced with tolerance and respect. All I ask for is respect. Respect for the disabled, understanding about neurodivergence, instead of misconceptions and misinformation. So I say to you from the bottom of my heart, my name is Leila Rain and I am autistic and proud. And I hope you enjoyed reading my poem. So the next podcast episode will be on garbage movie biopics. I've already written the script for this episode, and pretty much it's me detailing the garbage movie biopics I've watched over the years, most of whom are not only made for TV, but were unauthorized. And then the next one is a video essay on Prince and Michael, pretty much asking if Prince had to ease in industry, which will be up to your interpretation. So stay tuned for those. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Check out this episode on Spotify, our radio, YouTube, or wherever platform you listen to this, you check out this show on. I also have a Instagram and Threads account you can check out for information for random posts about the podcast. So I barely use those accounts or wherever is on my mind at the moment. It was nice talking to you all. I can't wait to see you guys next time. Until then, ciao.